What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex. You watching the Ragin Nation show, Transformers 4 Edition. This is just a web series where we talk about all things matter to me for production of the 4th installment of the live-action Transformers film franchise directed by Michael Bay. This is update number 136, and what I'm going to do in this video is talk about the Transformers Age of Extinction payoff trailer. Now, we've already seen the trailer last Thursday. I did a little bit of a review about it. I obviously reacted to it. Now, I just want to do a little bit of a further discussion about it because there are some things that I want to point out that I didn't talk about in my analysis that I put out on a video a couple of videos ago. So let's cover one of the things that seems to be recurring in all the Transformers live action films, and that is mass shifting. They claim that mass shifting does not exist in the live-action universe because it's in a realistic setting, okay? So it shouldn't exist, but it does, okay? I've been defending that it didn't exist before because I was really adamant about it, but upon watching the movie again and again and again, mass shifting does exist. You know what? Anybody who says that it doesn't exist is in denial. If you watch Transformers, you know, the live-action films, and really watch what is going on, mass shifting does exist. And I get that, you know, I get that it's hard to really, you know, make it that size accurate because we're dealing with things that don't really exist. Well, it seems like they have that thing going on still. Like, it doesn't really bother me. I'm just pointing it out. And the first thing you can tell about the mass shifting in the Transformers payoff trailer, the Age of Extinction payoff trailer, is this shot where we see Optimus Prime going up against Lockdown, and you can clearly see that Lockdown's head is bigger than that of Optimus Prime's head. Now, how is this possible? Well, it's kind of sloppy. It's kind of sloppy on ILM's part, and they did an excellent job, I'll tell you that. The animation is excellent, but the size of a Lamborghini Aventador is nowhere near the size of a Western Star, a truck that Optimus Prime is. That thing is enormous, okay? A Lamborghini Aventador is a very low car. Essentially, it's a small car, okay? I mean, it's not a small car. I mean, it's a good size. It's very wide. It's also very low, and there's just not a lot of parts enough to really make up that amount of mass, okay? So I have to say it, mass shifting still exists in even the 4th installment of the Transformers live-action universe. Now, speaking of Lockdown, I gotta say that and making comment that Lockdown is finally the villain, the main villain that Transformers fans deserve. Okay, Megatron, I couldn't even say he was a main villain in the first film. The Fallen, what a weak villain, okay? I mean, there wasn't even a real villain in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. It was just a bunch of villains, but no real main villain. Finally, we got a main villain, which was a bit of a surprise in Transformers Dark of the Moon. I mean, you can't really say it's Megatron because he doesn't do a whole lot. It's a bunch of villains, which is the Decepticons, but essentially Transformers Dark of the Moon's main villain is Sentinel Prime, but you only discover that halfway through the movie. And he does give Optimus Prime a bit of a beating. There is a bit of a fight, but finally, we have a villain in Transformers Age of Extinction, which is absolutely relentless. We see him, I guess, at the, you know, at the middle of the movie, and maybe before the middle of the movie, and then we see him at the, like, I guess, closer to the end of the movie, because there are several battles going on which involve Lockdown. And man, that is really exciting for Transformers fans because now we can finally see a villain that's consistent throughout the movie. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I think that Lockdown is going to be a dominant villain, rather, in the film until we see who the real big, you know, monstrosity is, whoever that may be. All right, so that's going to be left as a surprise for us. Now, notice that there are really 3 main villains as suggested by the toys. We have Galvatron, we have Stinger, both of which are man-made, and we also have Lockdown, who who you know, he's commanded by somebody, okay, somebody out there. All right, so we have 3 main villains, okay, so 3 main bad guys, all right, and I think that was a smart move in the storytelling aspect. Now, a lot of people are thinking like, oh man, there's not enough Decepticons. What's going on here? There's a huge imbalance between the Decepticons and the Autobots. Well, I like the fact that there are only 3 villains, mainly because there was something that was really missing in the first 3 films, and that was a Decepticon interaction. Okay, we only got the biggest chunk of Decepticon interaction in the 3rd film. All right, in the 1st and 2nd film, not a whole lot of interaction, just, you know, some dialogue exchange here and there, not even in the 1st one, okay? But finally in Transformers Dark of the Moon, there was that interaction, and I think that finally in the 4th one, we're going to see more of a villain presence, just because with the limited amount of you know, main villains, okay, Decepticon robots, we can finally see more screen time for these guys. All right, so I'm pretty happy about that. I'm satisfied, or rather I'm content with that. I don't have any complaints about that. You know, and also they have Vehicons. Maybe it's a lot of Vehicons, but keep in mind that they need a new army. Optimus Prime says we need a new army, so they get the Dinobots. There's probably 5 or 7 Dinobots. We don't know if Slog and Snarl are in it for sure. They're at least getting a toy, but we don't know for sure if we're getting 7 Dinobots. But it means that they need to fight something huge. It could be a huge army of Vehicons, or it could be that Galvatron is just a huge formidable force. You know, he's really, really powerful. Or it could be something huge that we don't know anything about. All right? Whatever it is, it could be a surprise. All right? So, I just want to point that out there. Or maybe the Vehicons, you know, like all these Vehicons combine into Menasor. Who knows? Anyways, so a lot of fans are what am I saying here? Okay. What I want to talk about is the Vehicons. So speaking of the Vehicons, I want to talk about them a little bit more. And based on the final shot in the Transformers Age of Extinction payoff trailer, the Vehicons we obviously know are Decepticon fodder. They're there because the Dinobots need to destroy them. They need a new army, obviously, because there's just too many of them. And Dinobots need something to munch on, and that is the Vehicons. So I have a tiny bit of a complaint here, okay? So, yeah, sure, they have a Decepticon army, but it looks like the Vehicons, as Decepticon fodder, they're kind of like droids in Star Wars. You know, Jedis cut them up like butter. Okay, they all you gotta do is just take the Sword of Judgment, stab them once, impale them, and he's done. Or have Grimlock just throw him out into like a building, and then he's done. You know, so there's gonna be a lot of Vehicons because with 5 Dinobots, there needs to be a need for these Dinobots to be there. So there's going to be a lot of Vehicons, a lot of which are probably these supercars. You know, when we were, you know, watching the production of Hong Kong, there were supercars. There was Maseratis, there's Aston Martins, there's freaking Lamborghinis, like Ferraris. These guys, I believe, are included in the Vehicon roster. The Vehicons don't just consist of these Chevy Trax. I believe that the Vehicons also include the lineup of supercars. All right, and that's just the theory. All right, so you know, at the end of the day, there's just a lot of Vehicons. Now, another thing that you got to know in Transformers Age of Extinction is that they're doing something that was also dominant in the last 3 films for one of the main characters, and that is Bumblebee still does not talk. You can tell just from the fact that he still has a circle mouthpiece, which is kind of like a speaker in a way, and the fact that he looks the same, and the fact that when Bumblebee was jumping off Lockdown Ship, he made this noise that he always makes in the last 3 films. Bumblebee still does not talk. I don't think we'll ever be getting a Bumblebee that actually talks unless they remove that mouthpiece and give him a mouth, you know, with lips. Well, not with lips, but an actual mouth. That way we can see him like blah, 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 blah. Okay, now you're probably thinking, wait a minute, Transformers the first film, he did some talking, but when you really listen to the style of the voice, all right, it's kind of like the voice has been enhanced through like a radio voice. It sounds like a radio voice. I'm not saying he plays radio clips, but it's like a radio sounding voice. It doesn't sound totally clear. All right, it sounds like he's struggling with that voice. All right, so you know what? I think that Bumblebee will only start talking as when they redesign his face and give him a mouth. All right. Now the last thing I want to talk about is the locations in the film. We got Texas. This is where the movie starts off because we're being introduced to the Mark Wahlberg character. And then there's also a battle in Chicago, all right? That's where this big battle takes place with Bumblebee and Crosshairs flying around. There's also this scene in Michigan where Lockdown is driving up, okay? So there's a lot of like, stateside like trotting. You know, they're going from state to state to state to state. And then somehow they end up in China, okay? Now, do they fly over to China? Because Optimus obviously needs to get from the United States over to China to get the Dinobots, because the Dinobots exist in China. So do they fly over there, or do they drive over and take a ferry? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did he get transported to China? You know, that's something that is a theory. They could use a space bridge. You know, that's always possible. They could use space bridge technology somehow, all right? But the fact is that they need something to get them over there, all right? And then the final battle, as far as I know, ends up in Hong Kong, because that's where all the Vehicons are. Stinger is there. Galvatron is there. There's a big battle that takes place in Hong Kong. Now, I'm also thinking, what about the filming in Beijing? I wonder if, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was supposed to be some filming that takes place in the capital city of Beijing, okay? And Beijing was supposed to involve, like the filming there was supposed to involve explosions, or at least the news articles suggested that things are going to blow up in Beijing, okay? And maybe they were just exaggerating and trying to really sell the news article, but from what I understand, things are supposed to blow up in Beijing. Maybe they didn't show any of that. But I'm just thinking, how are they supposed to cram this in 2 hours? If you guys don't already know, I've already mentioned it time and time again, Transformers Age of Extinction is the shortest Transformers live action film at only 2 hours. It's actually 2 hours and 7 minutes, but 7 minutes makes up the credits of the film, right? But it's essentially 2 hours, which is the shortest film of the franchise, all right? So, you know what this suggests? I mean, Michael Bay already said it from the very beginning. Transformers Age of Extinction is going to be a chase from hell. This movie is going to be action-packed. There's a lot of action in this movie. That's all I got to say in this video. I just want to put out a couple of things I want to put out for the Transformers Age of Extinction payoff trailer that I didn't mention before, and I've got everything out. Stay tuned for the next trailer. It's 1 minute and 38 seconds. New scenes. It's probably going to come out either this weekend or next weekend, alright? So there you have it. That's all I gotta say in this video. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation, follow me on Twitter, and check out some exclusive content from my Instagram account. Follow me at The Ragin Nation. My name is Alexi. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. And then, but this time, it's on his back. So I'm trying to understand the order of this. I mean,